Welcome to the next module. This module will cover Standard 2. It is actually part 1 of 3 modules covering this standard, curriculum and instruction. This one will deal with the curriculum competencies. This is really the heart and soul of what COMTA does and what makes COMTA unique. So this presentation is going to be slightly longer because we do want to make sure that you have a good understanding of the COMTA competencies. COMTA is a specialized accrediting agency for massage and bodywork and aesthetics. So therefore the Commission evaluates the curriculum more in depth. And to do so, it has set minimum national competencies of what graduates must know and be able to do. So let's take a look at what this means, competency-based curriculum, before we go much further. Competency-based education provides schools and students a measurable standard or bar to achieve. The competencies describe what students will know and be able to do upon completion of the program. They describe outcomes rather than prescribe instructional design or a specific number of hours per subject. So you won't see, for example, 150 hours of anatomy. Instead, there will be anatomy competencies, which must be included in the program, but can be addressed in a variety of ways. So it actually allows schools more flexibility in meeting the competency standards. Now keep in mind as you look at these that the COMTA competencies are minimum requirements. Schools may, of course, teach more, but we must be able to verify that these competencies are present in any COMTA accredited program. Now the competencies fall into 6 general categories, and these are on your screen. Essentially, students must be able to plan and organize an effective session. This includes the sciences. Competency 2 is the performance of massage therapy, bodywork, or aesthetics treatments. Competency 3 is about self-care and self-care strategies. Competency 4 is ethics, boundaries. Competency 5, develop a strategy for successful practice, business, or employment situation. And competency 6, identify strategies for professional development. Now, each of these is further broken down into more details, and so we highly recommend that if you have not already, you have a copy of the competency chart. There's one for massage and bodywork and one for aesthetics that further delineate these COMTA competencies. We're going to take a look at how this chart works and some examples. So a competency chart is used to verify whether you're teaching and assessing the competencies. So we ask all of the schools and programs to complete the chart with where the competency is taught in your program and how it is assessed. Here is an example. So we're looking at 2 competencies. One is in competency 1 and one in 5. We're looking at this specific element, 1.2 first. It's the effects of touch and bodywork techniques. So the competency states, identify and describe the physiological effects of touch and specific massage or bodywork techniques. This is obviously from the massage chart. That's the COMTA competency. Now this particular school has said that they teach it in their Swedish massage class number 1. It's also taught in MST 102 classes 1 through 3. Now please keep in mind that we know that these can change. It doesn't have to always be class number 1, but this will then match the syllabus that's presented to the reviewers so they can confirm that. So it should be at least planned this way. If you need to make changes, we understand, but at least that we can find it and it is covered. Now, it's one thing to teach it. We also want to make sure that your students know it. So this is where assessment comes into play. So this school says that they teach it in their Swedish massage class, and then it is assessed on that exam 1 of the same class. It's also assessed in a midterm exam in MST 102. Another example is in the business competencies, job search and marketing, identify strategies to develop and maintain a client base. This school has said that this is taught in their business for the massage professional class and classes numbers 14 through 17. So it's a larger section of the class covered several times. And this time they assess it in a business plan. So this is the chart. You're given the first couple columns, and then you fill in the two columns on the right. And what I'm going to do is also take you through how a reviewer would verify this so you can see and understand the full process. So for example, let's look at competency 1.2.1, identify and describe the physiological effects of touch. So the school said we teach it in Swedish massage class 1. The school is going to then submit the syllabus in the self-study report. And that syllabus under class 1 is the entry of the topic outline. And so a reviewer will be able to look at this and say, yes, I see that they do several things in class 1, one of which is looking at the therapeutic benefits of massage. Now, if the reviewer had any lingering questions, they could ask to see a lesson plan when on site, but often this is enough to be able to verify the competency. Now, how is it assessed? Do we know that our students know? The school says we assess it in exam 1. So then this exam is submitted in the self-study report. And as we review that exam, we see a question that says, describe 3 physiological effects of Swedish massage. So then a reviewer can say, yes, I can verify that this competency is both taught and assessed. Here's another example with that business competency of identify strategies to develop and maintain a client base. Taught in business class, classes 14 through 17. So we're going to take a look at the business class syllabus. And part of the syllabus gives us the following topics in the topic outline. And even though it doesn't say develop and maintain a client base, our expert reviewers, our specialists, are able to discern that these topics do in fact meet that competency. Now, you may want to use the competency language in your syllabus. That's great, you can, but it's not required. You can see that our reviewers would be able to verify this competency is taught in these topics. But teaching is not enough. Just because we've taught it doesn't mean they've learned it, right? So we have to look at assessments. In this case, the school has chosen to use the business plan as the best place to document assessment of this competency. And they're going to submit the business plan in the self-study report. And the reviewer is going to take a look at that and see, yes, the directions for the marketing section do include that the student demonstrate proficiency in this competency. They're asked to get marketing goals, figure out their target market profiles, a differential advantage statement, etc. So a reviewer would be able to verify that this competency is taught and assessed. So there's several pieces that go together here. The chart must match the syllabus, which must match the assessment pieces, and all of those are provided to reviewers. Again, this is the heart and soul of what we do at COMTA, so it can take a while. This is a big part of both the self-study report as well as our review process. A couple notes about this. Competencies, when you look at the chart, you will note, and from the examples we looked at, they are written in pretty general terms to allow diversity among schools. If you're a first-time applicant, an initial applicant, we always recommend that you take some time to align your curriculum with these competencies first. This is part of the application, and you want to make sure that everything is there and nothing is missing. You can teach and assess these in multiple places. In fact, that often happens, but you only need to indicate one area in the chart if you want. And assessments do not need to be written exams. However, they should be documented. So instructor observation would only be enough if there's some sort of documentation there. And in fact, the assessment should match the language of the competency. So if the competency says perform a bodywork technique, the appropriate assessment there would be a hands-on assessment, not a written exam. So reviewers will look for that as well. Now we're ready to get started into the course lessons, and the course lesson will include much more information and examples from the competency chart, as well as tips on how to complete it and the best way to get that verified. Write down any questions you have, and as always, contact the COMTA office if you have more. Thank you, and let's get started.